Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory wasn't just a sunny children's fantasy. It was a sugar-dusted battleground where leaking pipes, temperamental child actors, and studio rivalries collided. Props collapsed, tempers erupted, and the author threatened to yank his name off the marquee. Today, we're unwrapping 20 weird facts about Willy Wonka, plus one mind-bending bonus you've never heard. Stick around until the golden ticket of truth at the end, then hit that like button lever and let the river flow. Fact 1. The chocolate river that stank. It isn't creamy sweetness. It's 15,000 gallons of cooled water, powdered chocolate mix, and real cream swirling under hot studio lights. Within days, bacteria bloom, the surface curdles, and a brutal sour milk smell clings to every costume. Crew members gag between takes. Gene Wilder keeps lavender oil in his sleeve to mask the odor. Child actors splash anyway because the call sheet says so, only to discover the brown dye stains their skin for a week. What audiences don't know, after Augustus Gloop's take, the pump fails, and the boy nearly drifts under the paddle wheel before a grip dives in to haul him out. Not a whimsical river, but a rancid lagoon with real peril lurking beneath the foam. Fact 2. Gene Wilder's contractual somersault. It isn't a casual entrance, it's a calculated power play. Wilder tells director Mel Stewart he'll only sign if Wonka limps toward the crowd, cane scraping, then somersaults into perfect poise. The move signals that from this second on, nothing in the factory can be trusted. Studio lawyers balk. What if he sprains an ankle on day one? Wilder refuses to budge. Costumers sew hidden padding into his violet suit. Stunt coordinators rehearse angles, and production insurance skyrockets. First take rolls, the somersault lands, and the cast's gasp becomes the one you hear in the final cut. Not a quirky gag, but a contract-inked psychological trap that rewrites Wonka's entire mystique. Fact 3. Munich's stealthy tax break. It isn't whimsical Bavarian flair. It's desperate budgeting. Paramount slashes the film's funds after securing Nestlé's sponsorship, forcing producers to flee Hollywood's union wages. West Germany offers hefty post-war tax incentives, so the crew transforms Munich's Galleriestrasse into Victorian London overnight. Locals stare as prop lampposts appear beside beer halls. The city's drab winter light becomes a practical effect. Cinematographer Arthur Ibbotson uses it to bleach candy colors into surreal pop. Cast can't read the street signs. Translators scribble phonetic cues on call sheets. The move saves $2 million, but triggers endless logistics nightmares. Cocoa shipments stuck in customs. Oompa Loompa extras lost on trams. Not a charming location choice, but a cost-cutting gamble that constantly teeters on collapse. Fact 4. Slugworth's secret isolation tactic. He isn't merely spooky. He's weaponized anxiety. Actor Günther Meisner speaks fluent English, but pretends he doesn't. Director Stewart instructs him to avoid the child actors entirely, lurking behind scenery until cameras roll. Peter Ostrom turns a corner and finds Meisner inches from his face. First time he's seen the man in costume. The terror you see is real, amplified by Meisner's guttural whisper. We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams. Between takes, the German crew smuggles him through back corridors so kids never catch him smiling. Not a standard villain performance, but a method experiment that injects genuine dread into every golden ticket whisper. Fact 5. The ever-melting Wonka bars. They aren't everlasting. They're 1,200 hastily molded prop bars that melt, buckle, and bloom white fat the moment studio lamps hit 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Nestlé's chemists promise shelf-stable chocolate. Reality laughs. By week 2, half the stockpiled bars sag like wax. Props department paints hundreds of wooden blanks, spritzes them with candy aroma, and instructs actors never to bite. On close-ups, Wilder swaps wooden shells for freshly refrigerated real bars, multiple per take, spitting pieces into a hidden bucket to keep the violet coat spotless. A single edible bar costs the production $12 in refrigeration and courier runs. Not delicious product placement, but a logistical meltdown masquerading as candy magic. Fact 6. The Office. Where nothing fits. It isn't quirky set design, it's deliberate psychological sabotage. Production designer Harper Goff constructs Wonka's office with every object, desk, clock, door, sliced exactly in half. No surface meets perfectly, telegraphing that final handshake's hollow victory. Cast members tilt cups that spill, open drawers that aren't real, and fight muscle memory every take. The unsettling geometry forces Wilder to invent new gestures, like palming imaginary blobs of paper. Viewers subconsciously feel the imbalance long before Charlie realizes the contract's trap. Not a random eccentricity, but a subliminal warning that nobody leaves Wonka's games unchanged. Fact 7. Doll's disastrous first screening. It isn't a proud author premiere. It's a diplomatic crisis. Roald Dahl arrives expecting his script. He finds David Seltzer's rewrites giving Wonka bigger lines and Slugworth a new agenda. When the lights come up, Dahl storms out, calling Paramount robbers of imagination. He urges British critics to pan the film and threatens to pull sequel rights. Publicists scramble, offering charity donations in Dahl's name. Meanwhile, Wilder pens a polite open letter praising Dahl's dangerous ideas, placating the press. The feud freezes adaptation plans for decades. Fact 8. Oompa Loompa casting chaos. They aren't identically tiny. They're an international patchwork of circus performers, ex-boxers, and one former accountant. Stewart auditions hundreds under 5 feet tall, finally signing 10 men and 1 woman from France, Turkey, Malta, and Britain. Languages collide on the dailies. Choreographer Howard Jeffrey counts steps in French, the drummer cues beats in German, and half the cast moves on 3 instead of 4. Wilder keeps rhythm by snapping his cane like a conductor. The musical numbers you love are stitched from dozens of takes where at least one Oompa Loompa faces the wrong way. Not seamless choreography, but a frantic babel that miraculously sinks in the edit bay. Fact 9. The exploding candy apple incident. It isn't harmless prop food, it's pressurized candy glass with a hairline flaw. During the inventing room scene, a rigged apple is supposed to hiss bubbles, then deflate. Instead, it detonates, sending sugar shrapnel toward Wilder's face. Protective lenses deflect most shards, but his cheek bleeds. Cameras keep rolling, insurance adjusters later label the footage valuable authenticity. Wilder declines stitches, saying Wonka would consider blood an acceptable flavor enhancer. The take ends up trimmed, yet a single red smear remains visible on the collar if you freeze frame. Not cute confectionery, but a near miss that could have ended the entire production in crimson regret. Fact 10. The mid-roll boat ride from hell. It isn't mild suspense, it's psychological warfare on 8 minors. The infamous Wonkatania tunnel sequence uses live centipedes, a chicken decapitation reel, and strobe lights cranked beyond OSHA limits. No child sees the test run. Their first glimpse is on camera, terror raw. Wilder's improvised scream, "We are going to go faster!" blasts through hidden speakers. One kid cries off-screen while another vomits into a candy wrapper. Stewart keeps rolling, whispering, "Real fear sells." So go ahead and like and subscribe, because no other channel peels back the curtain on vintage Hollywood madness quite like this. Fact 11. Charlie trades Hollywood for Holsteines. Peter Ostrom finishes Willy Wonka at 13, stares at his 3-picture option, and feels his stomach not tighter than a fizzy-lifting drink bubble. He's just spent 5 months in Munich, but the whirlwind of press junkets and studio handshakes already feels suffocating. Back home in upstate New York, a veterinarian treating the family's draft horse lets Peter hold a stethoscope. The steady heartbeat floors him. Within weeks, he rejects Hollywood's contract, buys a calf with his residual check, and disappears into 4-H meetings. Today, he still receives royalty statements, $8 to $10, 4 times a year, which he jokes barely cover barn sawdust. When Warner Brothers invites him to cameo in the 2005 remake, he declines, explaining calving season waits for no man. Not a fallen child star, but a self-chosen exit that turns a golden ticket into a cattle tag. Fact 12. the fridge door contract monologue. Gene Wilder's blizzard-speed recitation of Charlie's duly signed and dated contract isn't whimsical nonsense. It's inside baseball satire. Producer David Wolper mails the art department 6 genuine Paramount boilerplate agreements telling them to stitch clauses together until the page looks absurd. A copywriter gleefully pastes a refrigerator. Warranty, coverage void if door left ajar, right beside Latin indemnities for acts of Oompa Loompa. Crew members break etiquette and applaud during the take, which is the same single shot preserved in the final cut. Not random word salad, but a razor-edged Hollywood roast served so quickly, most audiences never taste the burn. Fact 13. Verukas' purple-black battle scars. Julie Dawn Cole, playing Veruca Salt, insists on performing her own tumble onto the egg-chute steel trapdoor. Special effects techs guarantee the pneumatic hatch will hiss shut a full second after she's clear. But on take 2, an air hose jams. The door slams early, hammering her shin with 60 pounds of force. Cole bites her lip, finishes the musical cue, then collapses behind set flats while medics swarm. A fist-sized bruise blooms, but she refuses x-rays, fearing production delays will push the scene to Bob Fosse's cabaret time slot next door. She keeps filming for 3 more days, hiding swelling beneath candy-striped tights. Decades later, she sells her original golden ticket at auction to offset lingering knee therapy bills. Not a spoiled brat tantrum, but a blood-and-bone receipt for that iconic "I want it now" stomp. Fact 14. Strike that, reverse it, born from chaos. The movie's most quoted catchphrase explodes from a technical disaster. During the inventing room sequence, a spark from the everlasting gobstopper machine trips the lighting grid, killing one key lamp. Wilder, mid-monologue, sees half the set plunge into shadow. Rather than stop, he pivots. Strike that, reverse it. The crew freezes, unsure if it's scripted. Director Mel Stewart silently gestures. Keep rolling. Wilder repeats the ad-lib twice more, turning the glitch into Wonka's verbal fingerprint. In dailies, the editors realize the line's comic rhythm resets any botched timing, so they splice it into 3 future scenes as a deliberate motif. Not clever screenwriting, but controlled detonation of on-set mayhem that crystallizes into cinematic gold. Fact 15. Quaker Oats, Candy Lab Experiment, Forget Nestle. Quaker Oats bankrolls the entire film as a live-action commercial for a brand-new Wonka bar. Executives install food scientists on set to monitor how child actors grip melted chocolate, measure wrapper tear angles, and time on-camera bite durations. Every smudge and smear becomes data for packaging prototypes back in Chicago. The punchline? Factory kinks delay the real bars so shoppers can't find them when the film opens. Quaker quietly shelves the product, but the test results birth a line of smaller confections, Laffy Taffy and Nerds over the next decade. Fact 16. One take, chocolate room gamble. Director Mel Stewart bans the kids from seeing the edible garden until cameras roll, betting $500,000 set, dressing on their first genuine gasp. Lighting rigs push the sugar glass tulips to melting point. Prop men hover off-screen with Freon sprayers they hope won't hiss on microphone. The doors swing open, the children's pupils widen, and the wide-angle lens catches Violet actually blinking back tears. Any blown line means 12 hours to rebuild lollipop stems and repipe chocolate fountains. Miraculously, every kid hits their mark, and Wilder caps the take by biting a wax teacup so hard he chips a veneer. He never breaks character. Not rehearsed whimsy, but a high-stakes highball that lands on the very first roll of the dice. Fact 17. The rights default that saved the film. When Wonka underperforms in 1971, Paramount lets distribution rights lapse in 1977, writing the picture off as stale candy. The paperwork quirks backfire. Ownership reverts to Quaker Oats, a cereal giant with zero interest in film catalogs. They dump the title to Warner Brothers for a mere $500,000, less than half the original budget. Warner needs holiday content, so it plops the movie into its Thanksgiving TV rotation. Families tune in, ratings spike, and home video sales explode through the 1980s, minting a cult classic out of a tax write-off orphan. Not strategic vision, but an accounting accident that turns failure into evergreen nostalgia. Fact 18. The Lost Golden Ticket Heist. Only 5 metallic foil tickets leave the prop shop, each catalogued and locked nightly. In 1983, a warehouse inventory reveals just 4. Insurance investigators comb access logs, but a 2-hour window during a union power outage leaves no fingerprints. Rumors place the missing ticket in Tokyo, then Buenos Aires. 40 years later, a retired Bavarian soundstage electrician mails Julie Dawn Cole a padded envelope containing the pristine foil, explaining he found it behind a breaker panel and couldn't bear to throw it away. Cole donates it to the Academy Museum, stipulating it remain lit by pure imagination violet gels. Not a harmless trinket, but a decades-long mystery finally solved with a handwritten apology. Fact 19. The R-rated tunnel. Almost happened. Editor David Rawle hunts public domain footage for the boat ride montage and stumbles on a 16mm reel of eye surgery close-ups and writhing millipedes. At the MPAA screening, one board member physically recoils, labeling the material possibly sadistic for children. Stewart counters that Brothers Grimm stories drip with darker imagery. After a tense negotiation, he trims 2 scalpel frames, just enough to earn a GP rating. Freeze-framing the final cut still reveals a 1-frame maggot loop, invisible at normal speed. Not playful weirdness, but a censorship knife edge that threatened to exile Wonka from the kiddie aisle. Fact 20. The velvet coat's modest fortune gene. Wilder buys his top hat and cane for $1 each, but the purple velvet frock coat slips into studio storage until a 2012 Profiles in History auction. Collectors expect 6 figures. The hammer falls at $70,000, a bargain compared with superhero capes. The anonymous buyer later confirms he's a pediatric oncologist who screens Wonka for patients during chemo sessions. The coat now hangs in a climate-controlled glass case beside the treatment chairs. Preservationists note Wilder's handwritten laundry tag, Wonka number 15-78, still stitched inside the pocket. Not a millionaire's trophy, but a talisman of hope bought for less than the price of a sports car. In 2017, a Pawn Stars episode features collector Dan Goodman unveiling a screen-used everlasting gobstopper and wooden Wonka bar. Host Rick Harrison's eyes practically pop like Violet's blueberry suit. Negotiations spin faster than a 3-course dinner gum chew until Harrison slams $105,000 on the table for both pieces. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory should have melted into obscurity like its doomed Quaker test bars. Instead, every misfire, soured rivers, bruised shins, failed candy launches, and botched contracts fermented into a cult movie cordial that still warms new generations. It wasn't a flawless fantasy. It was a factory of beautiful accidents, proving that imagination often grows best in sticky, imperfect corners. If you savored these secrets, smash that subscribe button, share the video with a fellow dreamer, and remember, the real golden ticket isn't in a wrapper, it's the curiosity you carry into every story.